you've got the A9. 99 miles of continuous average speed camera.
99?
99 miles. And I'm sorry, you lot, I presume you're all petrol heads, yes? Yes! So let me ask you a question. Dying in your beds, many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back and say to the Scottish Safety Camera Partnership, you can take our licences, but you can't take our freedom?
Knowing what you've done.
I know.
That's dangerous.
I know.
Let's just get on with the show.
Yes.
Anyway, of course, this is the BBC. We have to provide balance, and we have to say, of course, that speed cameras are good. So
Speed cameras are good.
there we are.
Now, the Audit Office, which is essentially the government, has come up with all sorts of creative new ideas for reducing congestion. They're talking about lane switching. So, you know, this is like Birmingham, where during the morning you go one way on the road and in the evening you can go the other way. Car sharing, using the hard shoulder as another lane. Lorries not allowed in the middle lane, all this
Yes. I've got a much better idea. Do you want to hear my
thought you
idea?
might, yeah.
Oh, have you got it?
What I've just thought of is minimum speed limit on the motorway of 100 miles an hour. No, I've got... What? Minimum? Yes, and I know how this can be enforced. All cars from now on will be sold with made entirely of plastic explosive. So when you drive on the motorway, the satellite recognises you're on the motorway, arms the bomb. Drop below 100, boom.
So it's like that film Speed.
Exactly like Speed, only a bigger bang, and the whole car's made of it, and it's compulsory.
Sometimes you scare me.
Yeah.
Hey, now, you know we're always banging on about speed cameras, OK? Well, I've got some facts that you might like to digest, OK? Last year in Hertfordshire, the number of cameras they had went up by 24%. Deaths went up by 34%. Wiltshire, cameras went up 14%. Deaths went up 22%. It's the same story in Avon and Somerset, same story in North Wales. OK, now, County Durham, no cameras, deaths went down 24%. And North Yorkshire as well, no cameras, deaths down 9%. Right. And there's a very good reason for this. Because if you're driving down a road that's got loads of cameras, all you're looking at is your speedometer and into bushes. And you're never looking where you're going. You know the Institute of Advanced Motorists, this lot?
The wheel shufflers.
The wheels, they always drive.
They do a lot
What
of
do you think I meant? They always drive. Anyway.
Wheel shufflers.
Yes, the wheel shufflers. Even they are now saying that they want more warning of speed cameras, and they've said, why can't they put the speed limit that is prevailing at the time on the back of the camera?
That's a brilliant idea.
That is a brilliant idea, because how many times do you see a camera and think, I don't know what the speed limit is?
If the car had any problems, they weren't from 1949. They were from 2009.
Temporary 40-mile-an-hour speed limit enforced by average speed cameras. No one working!
You know those gantries over the motorway? They've got them on the M25 and on the M1, OK? Now, the idea is they've got speed limits on them, so you can temporarily lower the speed limit to warn drivers of an accident or congestion ahead. And then there are speed cameras on the back of the gantries to make sure that people do actually slow down. Well, now, here's my secret. It turns out the police can turn those cameras on at any time they like.
Really?
Which means the chief constable sitting there at his desk thinks, I fancy a new car. Pop the cameras on, and after, well, I was going to say half an hour, but probably 10 seconds, he's got enough for a supercharged Jag.
We should point out, for reasons of BBC impartiality, that other luxury cars are available to bent chiefs of policemen.
Now, if we had a Grand Tour medal, and we don't, but if we did, I know who the first recipient would be. Because we heard this amazing story the other day. You know, speed camera vans sit at the side of the road, blacked out windows, civil servants sitting inside watching YouPorn, OK, waiting to... That's what it is, waiting for someone to trip his camera. Now, someone the other day snuck up behind the speed camera van, quietly undid its number plates, put them on his own car,
and drove past at 100 miles an hour. I mean, literally the funniest thing ever. That is respect.
Top work. Absolutely.
I love that.
That is top work.
Oh, now, have you seen these specs? Speed cameras, the new ones, that they measure your average speed between two given points. So I was going through Northampton the other day, okay, and there's a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, about 2 miles. Now, when you've got to maintain an average speed of 50, it means the only thing that you can look at is the speedometer. So you drive like that. You can hear the wheelchairs going under the wheels and the babies and old ladies. I'm not looking at. I swear to God, right? They are going to kill people. Trust me.
They're forward-facing, though, am I right?
Yeah, the cameras, they take a picture as you're going towards them, yeah.
I approve of those.
Why?
Because I'm a motorcyclist.
What's that got to do with it?
There's no number plate on the front of a bike.
Bike is It's true.
It's true. It's a fair thing. I never thought, why? Why is that?
No, but the thing is, I've been through Northampton on the bike.
Why is there no number plate?
Well, I believe they were actually made illegal in early 70s.
Because they used to be upright on the front mudguard.
Yeah.
Like that.
So if you had a crash, it was like somebody just putting a meat cleaver in your head, essentially.
No, well, that is one advantage of motorcycling, I will concede, but there is a disadvantage, because I was talking to a surgeon just last week, and he was telling me, you know these new bikes that have got a very pronounced fuel tank in front of the saddle?
Yeah, a lot of sports bikes.
Do you know what the most common injury is now when you've had an accident? Your testes torn off.
Oh, no.
No, it's a fact. It's a fact. So you can do that to a speed camera, but the next thing you know... This surgeon was telling me he now spends most of his life sewing testicles on people, which is annoying if you're a woman. You don't have to with my boyfriends. You now know what you've done. I'd love to be... I'd sew them on someone's ears. Serves you right for being a biker. Now you've got earrings.
I'd sew them on the shoulders. So the next time somebody said, well done, mate. Oh!
I have to get back to it, OK? Because I've done some more checking on this. OK, shall I tell you the reason why they do the dot matrix lying on the M25? It's because if they put congestion ahead, it means they can put the low speed limit up. And that triggers the speed cameras. They turns them on.
What, at the lower limit?
Yeah, because if the motorway's clear and empty, it's a 70-mile-an-hour limit, the cameras aren't on. If they say there's congestion, lower the speed limit to 50, the cameras come on at 50. Seriously, that is absolutely not a word of a lie. So you're driving a completely empty motorway, oh, sorry, we made a mistake, but the cameras are on getting you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
So it's Dick Turpinism.
It is Dick Turpinism, but the fact is, if you went past a speed camera, you're still going to get done. Hey, listen...
Now, look at this. There's a study out here. It says people with those speed camera detectors are 600% less likely to get a speeding ticket than the rest of us. In other news, it's been revealed that people with metal detectors are 600% less likely to tread on landmines.
It's kind of stating the obvious, isn't it?
No, I mean, I don't get this. I mean, how can you ever get caught if you have a speed detector? Because, I mean, I've got one in our XC90. When it beeps, I don't think, oh, is my microwave meal ready somewhere?
If there's a beep, there's a camera. It's simple.
No. The reason is, I've worked it out, is that they don't know the location of those mobile ones that they put in vans or on sticks, you know, that they hide.
Oh, yeah. But then there's a way around that. Because you should always, you know, flash and do the thumbs down.
Well, you say that. But did you read about that? It was a lorry driver, I think it was.
Yes.
That he was flashing people coming the other way because there was a speed camera. And they tried to prosecute him for doing that, for warning people about an upcoming...
Well, that's just basically being prosecuted for being kind, for being a human being.
But I really like that sense of camaraderie you get when you're on the road and people you don't know share that stuff about speed cameras with you. I was driving along a bit back and there was one hidden in the you know, farmers turning around place, which I couldn't see. And there was a bloke on a bike coming the other way, and he was so determined that I wouldn't get caught for speeding that he actually came onto my side of the road and rode towards me going like that.
Was he determined, or, you know, you can be a bit dopey? Had he tried, like, everything else?
I have to admit, I had no idea what he was on about.
Exactly. Did you get a ticket?
Yeah, it didn't really occur to me until the bloke was writing the ticket. I thought...
Is that all right? Because I've got something that's really bugging me. Has anyone seen these average speed cameras that are kicking around now? You know what I mean? So you've got to do... I was found on the M25 the other day through the Roadworks. You had to do an average of 40 miles an hour, measured by 2 cameras, one at the beginning, one at the end. That's impossible. It's impossible because you drive along and you're sort of looking around and think, oh, God, I'm doing 42 because I'm going downhill. You think, well, God, I've been doing that for half a mile, so now I need to do half a mile at 38, which means you can only look at the speedometer. You can't look at anything else, only the speedometer. And you go through roadworks on the M25 in the rain at rush hour. And I know what they're doing here. It's the government. Gordon Brown has worked out that he's got to pay all our pensions because we're all going to live forever. They're trying to kill us off. But I know how to get round it, OK? You go past the first camera, pull over, get the newspaper out, read it, listen to the radio for 10 minutes, do 120 for the rest of the way then.
That's not quite right, actually, because I can prove that the way to keep traffic moving through the roadworks, which is where those average speed cameras are, is for everybody to go faster from the start.
Yeah.
It's all down to the work of the Swiss physicist Daniel Bernoulli. You're familiar with him?
Oh, him.
Thought so.
He isn't.
No, he is.
He's never heard of him.
But what he essentially proved was that in a system, the pressure and the volume multiplied together must be a constant. So if you've got a busy motorway and it gets thinner and there's less space for the cars to go through, they must go faster for the flow rate of cars to remain the same.
So it's like when you put your thumb over the end of a hosepipe, the water comes out
That's
quicker.
exactly what it's like,
So
yeah.
how fast, then, if you take 3-lane motorway down to 1 lane, how fast does the traffic have to move in order to keep the flow rate the same?
Well, the formula would be VN would be LO over LR times the VE.
So how fast?
Which is 210.
210 miles an hour. You're all right, ladies and gentlemen. Fair enough. All going by Bugattis and Zondas to cure congestion. It's a really good report in the papers this week, OK? And in Shropshire, somebody went to one of those speed cameras, put a tyre over it, a blanket over the top of the whole ensemble, and then poured petrol on it and set it alight, OK? Fire brigade spokesman said it was, and I'm quoting, a deliberate attack. Yeah. I also found this. What that should say is lane closed so that we can impose a preposterously low speed limit on the lane that isn't closed and then put average speed cameras up so it can catch you speeding and fine you and spend the money on signs with squirrels on them with antlers. That's what that should say. Now, the AA has launched a roadmap this week. Got it here. What makes this one different is that they featured in it every single speed camera location in the country, OK? Now, well, hang on. Some people have been saying this week that this is a bad idea, but we've had a meeting and we've decided it isn't. It isn't. It's a brilliant idea. Because have you seen around, does anyone here live near Stoke-on-Trent here, OK? If you go from Stafford to Stoke, look, you've got speed camera, 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 speed camera. It's just
now that's the sort of information we need.
Exactly, because you can go up to Eccleshall and then up here, no speed cameras at all up there.
So now, how can knowing that not be a good idea?
That's a good idea. This is the roadmap we must all have. The thing is, they actually say, well, it's a European law, so we have to lower the speed limit. Germans aren't, French aren't, Italians are, only we are. And I know exactly what's happened here. You've got some guy in the government, you know... You know the type.
Yes, right.
OK, now he has the power to lower the speed limit and stop parents eating sandwiches in cars if kids are present. Now, what he needs to do is take a leaf out of the Queen's book.
What, marry a Greek?
No. The Queen has the constitutional power to declare war on another country, but she never does. Even after a big party where she's a bit... And all her mates are egging her on. Go on, Liz, declare war on someone.
Does she really do that?
Yes, she can do that, but she doesn't.
So she... Oh, is that Mr. Lalonde? This is the Queen. We're at war. I do that every week.
She could do that. I'd be constant. I'd do it every... Oh, God, what I've done.
Yeah, I would love to be a drunk Queen. I didn't mean...
But the best thing about the new Range Rover, from my point of view, is that this towing eye on the back is designed to withstand a 5-ton yank. So, chain attached, no need to worry about four-wheel drive, that's permanent. I think I'll just slide it into low range and... Yes, and we begin with the government's attitude to speed limits.
You did that last week.
I did it last week and the week before and the week before that, and every single week the producers have edited it out.
Yeah, they have.
But this week I have a cunning plan to make sure it stays in.
Do you?
Yes, I do. Bear with me. Okay, you know,
earlier on this year, the government said they were thinking of upping the motorway speed limit to 80 miles an hour, yes? Well, the new Transport Minister, Patrick McLaughlin, recently announced that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I know.
Which is a blessed relief.
What? Why?
Because, if you think about it, OK, if he'd upped the speed limit to 80, he would, to keep the Daily Mail happy and all of the road safety charities, he would have had to say, right, we're having more police patrols, more speed cameras, more drones with more Hellfire missiles to make sure people stick to 80, which is 15 miles an hour slower than we all drive now.
No, you're absolutely right. People on the motorway drive at 95 miles per hour. And yet, I think I'm right in saying that British motorways are the safest roads in Europe, statistically.
They are indeed. They are indeed. Now, I did an experiment to prove my 95-mile-an-hour point this morning. I drove down the motorway here, OK, at exactly 70.
Well, don't you always drive down the motorway at exactly 70? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes, I do. No, I don't. No. I usually drive slower than that.
Do you?
But for my experiment, I sped up to 70. OK? Drove for 15 miles at 70. Guess how many cars overtook me?
Well, I'm guessing quite a few.
103.
That was all of them.
All of them, exactly. So, thank you very much, Mr. McLaughlin, for maintaining the 70-mile-an-hour speed limit, because that means we can all carry on doing 95. And that's the end of the news.
What, is it?
Can't edit that out, can they?
Oh, I see what you did. It's the only thing in it. Yeah, that works.
yeah.
It's got to go in. Let's
Now, fire. Photograph this. I have exploded with pleasure.
Yes, I'm inclined to agree.
Now, the Conservatives.
Yes. Mixed response.
No, mixed response there. Actually, this is the BBC, so we're impartial. Anyway, the Conservatives have decided that in order to win votes, they've said that if they're elected, they're going to up the motorway speed limit to 80 miles an hour. Hooray. Do away with the vast majority of speed cameras. A purge of speed bumps. And, best of all, they will abolish the M4 bus lane.
Oh, that's marvellous.
But this is great. However, the government, the Labour Party, not to be outdone, have announced just this week that they, if they're elected, are going to widen every road in the land. It's at this rate, honestly, the Lib Dems will be on next week. Free Ferraris for everybody. And you can have a Lambo. Now, last weekend, the three of us were in Middlesbrough, OK? And on Saturday night, we had to drive back to England, OK, which meant going... You know what I mean. It meant going back down the M1. Now, the truth of the matter is that all three of us have been away from home for, what, 6 weeks or something? We're quite looking forward to seeing our families. And so belting down the M1, and you arrive in Leicestershire, and there is a 20-mile set of roadworks there. 20 miles, which have average speed cameras set at 50 miles an hour for the entire length. Traffic's light, there's no rain, it's 3 lanes, but you're forced to do 50. Now, I don't know who the Minister of Transport is, but I want him to find the man who came up with that idea, go round to his office on Monday morning and punch him really hard in the side of his head. Just poof! Because if he doesn't, I'm going to find the man and I'm going to attach him to a milling machine and I'm going to see if it's possible to turn a man's head into a perfect cube. Do you know why they have the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit? To protect the workforce who weren't there. They were in bed where I wanted to be.
No, I agree with you entirely, but the answer is not cubing people's head. The answer is when the workforce isn't there, do 70.
Well, you're just going to get nicked.
No, but if everybody does 70...
OK, who here would just do 70 through a set of roadworks with an average speed camera? Nobody, Jane.
No, but that's exactly
you go charging through and you're just going to get booked.
No, but that's fine, but you can test it. Stay to 70, because that is the speed limit. You take it to court, in front of a jury, and you argue correctly that it is wrong to apply the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit when there's no one there to protect.
So you're saying it's logic?
It is logic.
It's logic to kill Peter Mandelson.
No, it isn't.
It is.
No.
It is, but you can't do it.
Killing Peter Mandelson is a grey area in the law. But doing 70 miles an hour on the
It's black and
motorway
white.
is an absolute.
How many people went on the anti-war march? 1 million. We went to war. How many people went on the countryside march? 400,000. And fox hunting was still banned. The government's not interested in the will of the people, particularly when it's just one pedantic, long-haired old queen standing up in court saying, oh, well, I did 70 because it's logical.
You're absolutely right. Speed limits on motorways can be a pain, and there's two solutions outlined for you. Revolution or cubing people's heads. Alternatively, you could just leave a bit earlier.
No, cube their heads.
Self 5 minutes earlier.
I haven't got
Stop your
5
motor.
minutes.
It's not 5 minutes anyway.
It's 5 minutes a day. If you have to commute... Anyone here from Leicestershire? Is anyone here? How did you get it? Jesus! Jesus is from Leicestershire. He is Jesus. Come here, Jesus. Come and talk to me. Congratulations for...
Thank you.
It's slightly bigger news than the M1, but nevertheless, we'll gloss over the second coming. Do you commute on that bit of road?
No, I got the back way.
Because of that?
Yeah.
So how much is it adding to your transport every day?
About 10 minutes, quarter of an hour.
10 minutes a day? That's there?
Each way.
Each way, 5 days a week?
Yeah.
So that's an hour and 40 minutes a week the government is stealing from Jesus. Now it's time to do the news. And we begin, we begin with last week because you mocked me for wearing a suit. You may remember this, yes? Because Christian Scott Thomas was down here. Tuesday, he walked into the office dressed like this.
Yeah.
Look at him. Where'd you been?
I'd been invited to number 10 to a one-on-one chat with the Prime Minister. So, I put a suit.
So you go down there, you're in number 10.
Yeah.
Sitting with him.
Yeah.
Did you vomit on him?
No, you can't vomit on the Prime Minister, mate.
No, you can, if you had loads of cheese soup before you get there. And then, like, some salt water, all over him. You could easily have done that.
No.
You didn't.
No, I didn't. No.
Did you punch him in the face?
No! Look, I didn't vomit on or punch the Prime Minister in the face, OK?
How close were you to him at any one point?
Well, I was sitting next to him. Look, there's a picture, hang on, of us. There you see, there's it.
You could have easily punched him in the face from there.
He makes him sick. No, just straight all over his leg and his cufflinks.
No, look, that's
Those are the two things that you're best at in the world. Being sick and punching people.
He came round to your house once, didn't he?
Yes, he was... One time, you came to my house, you vomited all over my sofa.
Sorry about that.
My house vomited all over me.
I did do
So
that.
you vomited all over your mate. Why couldn't you vomit over him?
I'm sorry! He'd invited me round for a chat, so it wasn't appropriate.
About what?
About road pricing.
And what did he say?
That we need to do something about congestion.
Well, did you tell him if you got rid of the bloody M4 bus lane, that might help? Did you tell him that?
I didn't say that. I wasn't sick on him. I didn't
Did you
punch
tell him to
on...
get rid of speed humps?
No.
Did you tell him to up the speed limit on the motorway to 150? Because that will shorten... Did you tell him that?
All right, I'm
Punch
beginning
him
to...
in the face.
I let you down, lads. I'm sorry.
OK, road pricing is coming, and it's his fault.
Yeah.
I now realise I've let you down, and I'm sorry.
It's not us.
You've let everybody down here. You've let him down. He can't even afford proper clothes.
You could have been the first person in British history to punch the Prime Minister in the face and be sick on him.
All right,
That would have been in,
I will
in
be the
record.
first person to punch you in the face on television.
Now
in a minute.
that's more like it.
The news. Now, we were sent a picture this week of a biker caught in Holland, I think it was, doing 137 kilometres an hour. And, well, here's the picture. It kind of tells its own story. There's one key thing there. He's not on it.
Interestingly, he wasn't prosecuted because he claimed he wasn't riding the bike at the time of the offence.
What did he claim he was actually doing, though?
Probably said he was washing it and it fell over.
Yeah, and it slipped and we sort of accelerated and kept building speed.
There's a Top Gear top tip here, actually. If you're driving along, OK, see a speed camera, no chance of slowing down, leap out. Don't do that if you're a coach driver.
No.
Yeah, now, look, you know now we've got speed cameras to catch us speeding?
Yes.
You know all the hairdryers they used to use in the olden days, yeah?
What,
Do you know
the
they're
radar
doing?
ones?
Yeah, the radar ones. Do you know what they're doing with them now?
Throwing them away.
Yeah.
No? Yeah, it's not like the law enforcement agencies aren't busy at the moment, to be honest. But anyway, they were out and about the other day catching people speeding on the river.
No.
Where the speed limit, we were told, is 7.4 kilometres an hour. What's that, 4 and a 4.5.
Walking pace.
I could swim faster than that. They're going to be prosecuting poo sticks. That is speeding.
Yeah.
It's this obsession everybody's got now that speed kills. It doesn't. Speed has never killed anyone. Suddenly becoming stationary, that's what gets you. That's the killer.
That will do it.
Yeah. Now, this is a point that's been proved because the mayor of a small hamlet called Aquetico near the French border, he installed a speed camera on a 2-week trial period, OK? Now, we've got a picture of the village in question here.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, we're not talking about a vast metropolis here. Now, in the 2-week trial period of the speed camera, the number of people it caught breaking the speed limit was 58,568.
There! In that village?
58,500 in 2 weeks.
They can't help themselves, the Italians,
No, they
can they?
can't.
Wait a minute, that many in 2 weeks. During the, let's assume it was quieter at night.
Yeah.
It looks it.
Yes.
So during the day, there must have been at least one car every 10 seconds setting the camera off.
There's people who've been done twice a day on the way to work. No, wait, on the way to work, then back for lunch, then back to work, then back home.
It's happened again.
He's flashing, he's annoying. What I love, though, is the mayor is still deciding whether a speed camera is necessary. Really? Well,
What does he want?
He actually, no, he's quoted in one of the papers I read the other day as saying, well, the problem is we have good asphalt and long, continuous bends. So he's basically saying, look, it's a really nice road, so of course people are going to speed.
Plus, we're Italian, so what do you
It doesn't.
expect? Oh, good effort.
Meanwhile, in the UK, things are rather different. There's a man in Bedfordshire, right, which is a county in England land, if you're watching elsewhere, and he's put a fake speed camera on the side of his house, which is by the A1. Now, we've got a picture of it here. As you can see, it is very realistic. Would you agree, yeah?
Completely.
And he's been told to take it down because the highways agencies say it's distracting drivers.
Oh, wait. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
The Highways Agency have said something that looks exactly like a speed camera
Yeah.
is distracting drivers.
Yeah, they've rather shot themselves in the foot with that one.
Yeah, because what they're saying is speed cameras are distracting drivers and are therefore dangerous.
Yeah, speed cameras, according to the government, are killing baby children and small puppy dogs. So, should we have a vote?
Yeah, let's have a... Do
Who
all
thinks
three?
all speed cameras should be removed?
Highways Agency, we agree with you. We support you.
100%.
100%
The
of us.
British population agree
Yeah.
that they should all be taken down now. Good, that's sorted
No,
out.
that's good.
Well, this week, Britain got a new motoring hero. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Councillor Peter Greenhalgh from Swindon Borough Council. He's in charge of transport. And what this man has said this week is that every year, Swindon Council is giving the government £400,000 in exchange for the speed cameras that they put up all around the town. And he says it's a blatant tax on the motorist, and he's getting rid of every speed camera in Swindon. We had to honour him. We can't just let this moment pass.
No. I mean,
Richard.
in the official register of interest, it says that he hasn't accepted any gifts or hospitality. Well, that's going to change right now because we have this for him. It is the Top Gear Trophy of Excellence for Services to Common Sense, and it is yours, Mr. Greenhalgh.
Services of common sense in the face of blatant government stupidity.
Yes.
You want to pop up here and get that? We've even provided you a chair. It is the Top Gear Throne of Gratitude.
Yeah.
That is... For you. Peter, you come here. That is your chair. Permanently here.
What a man. Can I just say, though, if you do live in or are going to drive through Swindon over the next few weeks, they're all going to be watching to see if it works, so please be careful.
If you do happen to have any sort of accident in Swindon, wait until it's dark and push the wreckage into devices.
Yeah.
And then claim that you hit a speed cap.
That's what did it. Now,
Jeff Hoon, OK, is the Transport Minister, yes? And he announced this week that he wants to have more average speed cameras on the roads, OK, because he says they're good for safety and they reduce fuel consumption. Now, this is the same Jeff Hoon who, when he was Defence Secretary, said, and I'm quoting, "We know that Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction."
So he must be right about the speed cameras as well, then.
Yes, absolutely. I'll tell you what he's done, OK, because he claims he goes on the M1 a lot in those roadworks. You know, round junction 6, 8, they're up there. They've been doing them for, well, since 1850.
Forever.
Yeah, just been doing it for... Average speed cameras on that, and he says, well, there you are, you see, there's hardly been any accidents. That's because the roads are jammed up.
Not moving.
Then you can't crash when you're stationary.
Soon, though, we'll be able to... we'll have that Tory transport bloke.
Whose name is? Who?
It's a funny name for a bloke.
Teresa Villiers. How can you know that?
Because he is Teresa whatever.
Because there's only a finite amount of space for information in your head. So if he's got that in it, what's come out?
How to dress properly.
Well done, Teresa. So it's actually this man's a woman. I think that's fascinating, because she hasn't really got any policies across that we've ever seen.
Well, not that we've heard of, obviously.
So we've had to come up with some of our own. A better system than the average speed camera, OK? Have a look at this. So this is real. This is in Denmark. Look what they're doing there.
It's brilliant.
Give me one good reason why that won't work.
Yeah, slow down.
I'd slow right down.
Yeah.
What's the top speed of an A1?
75.
Is that all?
We're limited to 75.
Well, why don't we do 100? They'll never know. Are there speed cameras?
Yes.
Guys?
Yeah?
Did that signpost say 35 mile an hour speed limit?
The Blue Ridge Parkway is 469 miles long. It can't all be 35 miles an hour. It can't be.
I was right. It wasn't.
It's now 25 miles an hour here, chaps.
What?
Soon we were on Germany's autobahns, which got us thinking about how sensible they are.
And here we are, on the Autobahn. No speed limits. Is it chaos? No. If you remove the speed limits, people don't all suddenly drive into bridge supports at 200 miles an hour. We're not that stupid. Just as if you leave the gate unlocked at the lion enclosure at a safari park, we don't all run in and have a picnic.
In the last 15 years, Britain's economy has grown by 58%, whereas Germany's has grown by 102%. And that's because we're all doing 20 miles an hour and they're doing 200. Speed is good for business, and it saves lives as well. Because if you think about it, when we drive down the motorway in Britain, we're looking at all the gantries to see if they house speed cameras, or we're looking at our speedometers to make sure we're not breaking the limit. We're not looking where we're going. Heavily enforced speed limits kill people. Can I just talk about speed cameras? Does anybody mind? You know, Oxfordshire Council announced recently, well, last year, it was going to turn all the speed cameras off. And when they said that, all the road safety groups were running around going, everybody will be dead in 10 minutes as a result of this. Well, 6 months have now elapsed. And the road safety groups are saying they don't know what effect the switch off has had on accident figures.
How can they not know what the accident...
But they say the figures aren't in yet.
But I always know pretty much immediately when I've had an accident.
Yeah. There are clues. Big noise, sudden stop, that sort of thing.
Well, see, the thing is, I've done some digging. In a 3-month period in 2009, when the cameras were on, there were 35 accidents, OK, at speed camera sites. In the same 3-month period when the cameras were switched off, in 2010, there were 35 accidents at speed camera sites.
No difference.
No difference at all.
Right. What about fatalities?
Fatalities, there were none with the cameras on and none with the cameras off.
Really?
Now, what's interesting about this is that you'd think, OK, well, now, so it's made no difference and saved the council a fortune by getting rid of the speed cameras, but they're now saying the police are going to take over running them and turn them back on again in April.
But I thought they said they couldn't afford to run them.
No, but the police are doing it.
No, but this is actually very good news, though, because that must mean they've solved all the other crimes.
Well, the police?
Actually, they have. Well, they haven't solved them all, but they have caught that bloke who nicked the lead off my roof.
You had lead stolen from your roof?
Yeah, all of it.
Only you would be the victim of a crime from the 1950s.
Yes. Was the villain chased by a black and white policeman blowing a whistle by any chance?
Did you drive in a Ford Zephyr? They used to be able to drive into London on 3 lanes. You made it 2. You put a speed camera up. You made it 50. That was daft.
And it meant, no, that the flow of the traffic was better because people aren't rushing to the 2 lane from 3. And I've heard motorists get, and I hear them all cheering here, but don't you get annoyed when somebody wants to push in, actually, when you've done your 3 and your 2? How many people get annoyed at that when they come down to 3 and they come down to 2?
Public
come on,
meeting.
put your hands up. You know they are. They are. And they
John,
get bloody well...
Sit down. Sit down. It goes... Right.
Hey, they're cheering for me, not you.
All right.
Straight away, though, there was a problem.
Not again. Hammond, why do you like it in America so much? Every nice piece of road has an 8-mile-an-hour speed limit on it.
I don't know. Don't ask me.
It's not my fault.
Yes, it is. I mean, what are we going to hit? What are we going to hit here? There's nothing. No wildlife, no people. It's stupid! It's stupid! Hey, bad news. You know, when the Tories came to power, they said they were going to up the motorway speed limit to 80, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, the new Transport Secretary, who's called something dreary, Patrick McLaughlin, he's had a rethink.
Oh, God.
No, he says that he's unlikely to up it to 80 because in his constituency there's a very bad road where a lot of people get hurt.
Yeah, now this is quite interesting, isn't it? Because his constituency is the Derbyshire Dales, and we had a look at a map, and there are no motorways in it.
Yes, so what this means, ladies and gentlemen, is our Transport Secretary in Great Britain doesn't know what a motorway is. The man is a blithering idiot.
No, but in all seriousness, you can't really have a Minister for Transport who isn't interested in, for example, cars and roads.
It would be like making you the Governor of the Bank of England.
Don't do that.
No, because you're not interested in the economy.
Well, no, but I could sort it out.
How?
Well, I could sort out the budget deficit. Well, I'd find out how much it was, and then I'd write a cheque for that amount from the Bank of England.
You probably has a point. That could do it.
Well,
that's economics covered.
Well, and I'd have minted a £9.99 note to make life easier for shopkeepers. Can I just say, actually, changing the motorway speed limit to 80 miles an hour wouldn't actually make a blind bit of difference, would it? Because everybody in the outside lane of the motorway is doing 95.
They are.
And you are.
No, they are. There's no point beating... People go, everyone does 80 on the motorway, and you think they don't. They're doing 95 in the outside.
So all an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit would do is reduce the income from speeding fines, because you're only going to be doing 15 miles an hour of the limit rather than 25.
The fact is that on a weekday afternoon, I'm not talking about weekends when the roads are clogged up with people in Peugeots going to B&Q to buy more hideous decking. I'm talking about a weekday afternoon. Britain has the best standard of driving you'll find anywhere in the world.
No, you're right. You're right. I would agree with that.
Big claim.
Is it? Right, let's run through the opposition, shall we? The Germans all do 150 on the Autobahn that far behind the car in front. The Italians are mad. The French can't get to the greengrocers without crashing into a field. The Americans are belligerent. The Australians are drunk. The rest of the world hasn't got the hang of it yet. Later on, but for now we must do the news.
How fast were you going?
I strayed slightly over the speed limit there, and I was caught, and they dealt with me efficiently and courteously, as befits a civilised nation, which is, of course, what France is.
No. France is a country you have to drive through to get to Italy. That's all it's for. All right?
He's not going to like it.
Look, the fact of the matter is, they've got better cheese, they've got better wine,
they haven't got better cheese. They are a bunch of treacherous, lamb-burning Yorkshire peasants. All right?
Look, have you seen this? Have you seen this bridge? What country is that in? Is it in Britain or is it in France?
It's in France.
It was designed by an Englishman, but we're so tight-fisted we wouldn't build it here and they would.
Right. No.
They're better than us.
No, they're rude.
Look, they're better than us.
No,
I promised the policeman I'd say that.
They're rude.
Otherwise he would have taken my licence away and put me in the Bastille. Now, I want to stick, if I may, with the speeding issue. You know Richard Brunstrom, Chief Constable of North Wales?
Oh, yes.
Here's a picture of him, as the Sun calls him the Mad Mullah of the traffic Taliban. He made a speech the other day to the Institute of Advanced Motorists. They're the, you know... They shuffle the wheel between their lot, OK? Now, I've got a copy here of some of the things that he said, and I'd like to share them with you. He said, every one of us can think of a speed limit that appears to be completely balmy, utterly bonkers. And if you think it's bonkers, you're much less likely to comply with it.
Well, yeah, yes.
The voice of reason. What we need are speed limits that have credibility in the public mind. We need to have a root and branch reform of every speed limit throughout the country. Richard, welcome to our world. We should get him down, get some petrol out of a Subaru Impreza's fuel tank, cross him, baptise him
Join us
into the petrol head world. Welcome Richard. Welcome.
Now, yeah, it was worthwhile. The Chief Constable of North Wales said it was Jeremy Clarkson's fault that there weren't enough speed cameras in this country.
Could you believe that? Not enough.
It's not a concept that you
No,
get
I
your
drive
head
down
around.
the A40, I never think, you know what it could do? There's one there and there's one like 5 yards away, you could slide another one in there.
Yeah, I don't think that either.
No, and it's not just more that he wants them hidden in bushes, and we respect his opinion, of course. Yeah, we do. Of course we do. We recognise that, you know, there are nice people in the world and him. Anyway, the thing is, though, that we thought now would be a good time to expose some of the speed cameras' shortcomings.
Here we are, the camera's poised and ready, and here comes a young twalker. He's in a stolen car, he has no insurance, and he's so off his face on drugs, he's actually incapable of exceeding the speed limit. So he's completely safe. Look, no flash at all there. Now, who's this? Why, it's Osama bin Laden, the world's most wanted man. He hasn't been apprehended yet because he's realised that if he sticks to 30 miles an hour, he'll be quite safe. Yes, there we are. All that police enforcement technology and it can't catch the world's best-known terrorist. Ah, but look what we have here. It's a little old lady on her way to the village fete with some cakes. Whoops, she's inadvertently strayed up to 34 miles an hour and good, it's got her. What a maniac.
You see, there's the problem. Speed cameras are only any good at catching speeding drivers. They're absolutely useless at anything else.
Absolutely. We've got some figures here which make for quite grim reading, OK? In 1994, which was when speed cameras came along, roughly, 156,000 people were caught speeding, OK, yeah, by the cameras. By 2002, it was 1.5 million, and it's still going up. So you would expect that this massive increase would have a dramatic effect on the number of casualties.
Yeah.
Well, last year, after a long, sustained period of falls, it went up.
And these are actual cold, hard facts.
Absolutely. More people are dying, more cameras, more people die. My big issue, really, is that in the last 4 years, there's been an 11% fall in the number of traffic policemen. That's the problem, really. Because it's no good saying cameras are a substitute. They're not. Let me just put this simple fact here, OK? It was a policeman in a routine traffic check who caught the Yorkshire Ripper. And first of all, bad news, I'm afraid, because Britain's motorway network is going to get a new type of speed camera, which is grey and invisible. And unlike any other motorway speed camera we've seen in the past, this doesn't just come on when the limit is lowered for some reason, but it's on all the time, constantly.
Really?
Yeah, constantly.
Now, that is funny, isn't it? Because I seem to remember the Tory party saying they were going to end the war on the motorists.
I remember that.
Yes, but you can't end a war by brutally killing everyone.
Now, Hertfordshire Police said it's not in the public interest to tell anyone where the cameras are. So, fair enough, we'll pay the fine. Say, I'll pay it into a bank account, but I'm not going to tell you which one.
Work it out. Yeah.
I'll tell you the really bad news is that they're already up and running in Kent, by the way, these cameras. And Steve Harley, out of Cockney Revel, has been busted by one of them.
No!
Yes, he's 63 years old. He's eking a meagre living out of, let's be honest, only one hit single. Now they've nailed him.
How fast was he going?
70. But somebody in a motorway control room in polyester trousers with appallingly smelly armpits have decided that the speed limit at that particular moment, for no good reason, should be 40.
40 miles an hour on a motorway?
Yes, that was the speed limit that was prevailing when he was caught.
How much did he get fined?
£1,000.
£1,000 for that?
£1,000. But I have an idea. You know, if you download a song...
Yeah.
Yeah? The artist gets 49p. Now, why don't we download Come Up and See Me, Make Me Smile?
I love that song.
Everybody loves that song. You can't trust someone who doesn't like that song. What are you doing, James?
Well, I've already got it, but I can delete it and download it again.
Imagine everybody did it. He'd wake up tomorrow and realise, I'm number one. Where did that come
And he wouldn't
from?
know why, if he's not watching Top Gear, why am I number one all of a sudden?
Don't cheer him up.
And the great thing is, if he does go to number one, then he'll have enough money to help other people out with their speeding fines. We could call it the Make Me Smile Foundation.
Oh, that's a beautiful idea.
He could take out a small ad in the papers. He could say, caught speeding, come up and see me.
Could you prove to me that they save lives?
Yes. Every study that's ever been done anywhere in the world has shown that they work.
No, that's not proof. That's just you making a noise. I mean, come on, prove to me that they've saved a life.
Well, the statistics that we've gathered together over the first 3 years of the safety partnership show that they're saving hundreds of lives in this country alone.
We've got footage of it here. It's the Stig driving along in a diesel-powered Vauxhall Insignia, and he's building up speed to breakpoint now, full braking, and that's the Stig doing it, and there we are, 315 feet exactly. Anyone want to guess how fast he was going when he pressed the brake pedal? 100 miles an hour? 130 in a Vauxhall Insignia diesel. No, try to be realistic. 110. Actually, he was doing 112 miles an hour. So if the government says that the speed limit is determined by stopping distance, then we should be allowed to drive at 112 miles an hour. You can't argue with it. Yeah. But you've looked at the figures, presumably, from, say, when the speed limit was introduced, the motorway one, say, around 65. It fell every single year until 92, when speed cameras were introduced, then it levelled out.
Yeah, but we've also done 3 studies already, and we're just waiting for the results of a 4th one, which compares the accident rates on the sites where the cameras are now placed, before and after cameras, so we know that they're working.
If you have one accident, suddenly goes up to 4, you put a speed camera there and it goes back to, one accident.
There has to be 4 at every particular site before you get a speed camera.
OK, well, let's take the M4 as a prime example. Yeah. Do you know what one of the 4 was?
I don't.
Somebody jumped off a bridge. Guys, I want to show you this, OK? It's a speeding ticket, which was issued in California, OK? We see here that the car in question is a Bugatti 2-door. I'm guessing a Veyron, OK? Speed limit on the road, 65 miles an hour. Recorded speed, 210. Whoa!
If he'd done that in this country, you'd be put in prison for 2,000 years.
I know. Do you want to know what the fine in California is for doing 210 miles an hour on a road with a 65 mile an hour speed limit? You get, basically, the maximum fine a judge can impose is $500 for 210 miles an hour. That's the and if you do it again, it's just $750. Say goodbye, we're off.
Yeah, that's it. Why are we there doing what we do?
I know.
Why do we make Top Gear here? This is the worst country in the world for making a car program.
Honestly, I think we should go. I really do, because that is civilised behaviour. Now, what else can we say about the Dutch? Oh, of course, you gave the world speed cameras.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
No, actually, I'd far rather be pulled over by the actual Dutch police rather than a speed camera, because, boy, oh boy, do these guys look good. Got a picture here.
Whoa!
I would very much like to see a lady policeman in an outfit like that.
Looks like the guy on the right already has.
Thing is, what I don't understand is how the Finns managed to go fast enough to have a crash of any sort at all. Because the speeding fines here are insane. They're means tested, which means a guy here recently was caught doing 49 miles an hour through a 30 zone, and he was fined €112,000. That's a speeding fine.
Are they really that high in Finland?
€112,000.
€112,000.
Imagine getting that in the post.
Well, it's interesting, actually. There was a Finnish minister recently said that the government needs those speeding fines to balance the books, they said. They actually said speeding is good for the country. That's actually what...
It is. Every country.
Right.
Yeah.
We should adopt that.
Speeding is good for you.
It's a social duty.
OK, well, let's just work on this basis then. If you've got, what, 28 million cars, vehicles on the road now, don't you accept that it's inevitable some of them occasionally are going to crash into each other?
Absolutely, there's no question about that.
And we're at 3,500 deaths a year now, and have been now, give or take, for what, 10 years?
No, it's been coming down steadily over the last few years.
It's around between 3.2 and 3.5.
It's about 3,200 at the moment.
Now, but it's been hovering around the same mark. We can juggle around with the odd 10 here.
It hasn't been hovering around the same mark. Who does your statistics for you? That's just not true.
Shall I give you the figures?
You can give me the figures.
92.
Yep.
It was where we got down to 3.8, 3.6, 3.6, 3.5, 3.5, 3.4, 3.4, 3.4, 3.4, 3.4, 3.5, 3.2.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. For the last few years...
It's gone up once in 10 years for 1 year.
No, it went up the year before as well.
For that whole period that you read out, it's on the way down.
It isn't.
It is. You just read out the figures.
All right, I'll go more specific. 3,421. This is with speed cameras. The next year, 3,423. That's a jump of 2.
So what is it?
In the following year, it went down by 17. Then it went up by 40.
Still, at least when it got dark, things got worse.
Whoa! Whoa!
It's give you epilepsy, these cameras. Constantly being flashed. After this long and difficult journey, we reached the overnight halt.
I'm sure you obey the speed limit anyway, so what's your objection to speed cameras?
My objection to speed cameras?
Yeah, we paint them yellow, we put them where you can see them, we put a big sign up to tell you where they're coming, and we even print a list of them on the internet. If you're still getting caught, whose fault's that?
Ooh. You're the one with 9 points.
Well,
I haven't got any.
I learned...
Talking of speed, did you see the jet fighter this week? 600 miles an hour, and he crashed into a lamppost. Look at that, 54 feet off the ground at 600 miles an hour. Now, the Ministry of Defence is saying that if it can be proved that he was flying too low, and if you hit a lamppost...
That's low.
It's difficult to defend it. The pilot will lose his wings.
Oh, no.
We'd just like to say we've got space here for another presenter, and if you are the chap who was flying that and you lose your job, you've got one here any time, mate. If we get him down here...
Yeah.
Bring his plane. We're going to see if we can knock the helmet off a policeman.
I've got one word for you there, Jeremy. Yeah. Chin strap. Ooh. It's going to be very bad.
Knock over a speed camera?
You could have a call.
Yes.
Stationary. Anyway, they're taking the government to court because they want the government to stop painting speed cameras fluorescent yellow. They want them to be grey and hidden so they catch more motorists. I think that's really...
I tell you what, I've got the thing here, Transport 2000, just so that you know who they are. They say in their own, I think this is their own website, Transport 2000's vision is of a country where traffic no longer dominates our lives, where many of our journeys can be made on foot or cycle or using public transport, where you don't need a car to enjoy the countryside or city life. What's the word I can use at this time of night? I've got to go to Newcastle. How will I walk?
Places are a long way apart. That's why we have cars.
Anyway, let's get on. See, this is my thing with speed cameras. If you want someone to slow down, say, I know it's a cliche, but outside of school, OK? You put it outside of school, you paint it pink, give it big yellow flowers, big neon speed camera. Nobody will speed past it. You will therefore physically stop speeding. That's a good thing. Isn't that what you want?
Yes, and that's what we do.
So why have you just said no to 500 more speed cameras?
Because I think one of the things we've got to do is win back motorists' confidence in them. You're displaying, you know, the sentiments of many motorists out there. Now, I think that when we produce the 4-year report, we can strike a sort of deal with the motorist where we can demonstrate that we're not after your money, we're just after trying to make dangerous places safer, and in return, the motorist will respect the speed limits.
Can I talk about something else now, please? The police, it seems, are tired of people ripping up and destroying their speed cameras, which apparently does go on. So they've decided instead they're going to use old people. Sounds like a very good idea. They're going to arm, it's a pilot scheme, they're going to arm vigilantes with speed guns and then send them out into their communities to zap people.
To shock their neighbours.
What kind of a person is going to say, yes, that's the job for me, I'll get a speed camera, and it's a job for Paul Burrell.
There you go.
Everybody hates you already.
He's done his employers, now I'm going to do my neighbours and friends. But what kind of a country are we living in where people actually think that there will be people who say, yes, I want to go and catch that bloke at number 27 doing 31 miles an hour?
And the point is, the only people who'll have the time to do this, and even the police, I'm sure, will admit this, are retired people. It's going to be old people in cardigans with little...
Yes, actually, we're safe. We're safe. Let's imagine the scene in your little village. Oh, Doris, I think there's a car coming. Get your ray gun, let's go out and have a look. Oh, have you turned the kettle off?
Do you want to
Have
wee?
you locked all the... Have you been to the lavatory, Bill? Because you need to, because you'll be out for quite some time. Come on, then, have you locked the door? Have you locked the door? Oh, we've got the cats inside or out. Oh, I don't know, here he comes. Come on, be quickly, get your... That's not your radar gun, love, that's your hairdryer. Oh, Bill. Oh, Bill, you've come out in your slippers.
I've thought about this, actually. If you wanted to do it really cleverly, if you didn't like your neighbour, just ring them up at work, tell them the house is on fire and sit at the end of their road with your radar.
I don't think for a moment you're after our money.
Oh, well.
No, they love it. Honestly, we looked into it. What the profit, I think, from speeding fines last year was £21 million, I think, profit. Yeah. Simon Cowell pays more than that in income tax every year. Yeah. So you're getting more from Simon Cowell than you are from speed cameras. They're not actually making...
They're not making money. No, you're
They're
right.
not making any money. Yeah. All they're doing is us off.
Well, and that's why we've delayed the programme this year, whilst we gather the evidence that we need to show you that they really do work, so that you won't be off in future.
OK, can you do something about people who crash into my front garden?
I'll talk to your local camera partnership.
No, not a camera.
I feel a camera coming.
Now, speed cameras. Been a massive growth, and they're in the news at the moment. I think 10 years ago there were virtually none. Now we've got round about 5,000. Now, because all these cameras are supposed to be highly visible, and because they're all supposed to be put at known accident black spots, you would imagine, would you not, that they've had a dramatic effect on the number of people being killed on our roads. I mean, if you see a camera there and it's at an accident black spot, you slow down because you don't want to get fined. Well, we've got a chart here which shows what's been going on. This is the number of people who've been convicted since 1996. It was around about 250,000. Now it's just gone past, or rather by 2001, which is the last year for which we have figures available, it's gone past 1 million in a year. And yet, the number of road deaths, virtually constant. Almost exactly the same now as it was back in 1996.
Absolutely. Sadly, not the decline you'd want to see. But they're not at accident black spots, OK? There's been some research into the most dangerous stretches of road. In other words, accident black spots. These are the 10 sites that have been identified as the worst. These particular roads and these particular stretches of them, OK? They amount to a total of 137 miles on these 10 or so places. You would imagine they would be festooned with speed cameras if that's where they're putting them. Between all of those sites, all of those 137 miles of road at 10 positions, 4. 4.
The thing is, though, even if the cameras were there, I could still drive up any of those roads, drunk, uninsured, high on magic mushrooms in a stolen Nissan. But as long as I didn't actually go over the speed limit, I'd get away with it.
You see, that's the problem we're facing, is because the people who like the speed cameras and who think that they're a good idea are forever telling us that 33% of all fatalities are caused by excessive and inappropriate use of speed. But the fact is, the Transport Research Laboratory, who are proper scientists and not just mad vegetarians on bicycles, they're proper scientists. They say it's actually 7% of accidents are caused by excess speed. 7%.
So you've got to ask yourself, just what are these speed cameras for? If they're not putting them at accident black spots, and even if they were, it's been discovered that only 7% of accidents are attributable to speed. What are they for? Well, I can tell you one thing we know about them for certain. Last year alone, they raised £73 million.
So what are we going to do? That's the big one. What are we going to do? Well, simple fact of the matter is, when the police get your photograph, they send you a letter saying who is driving the car at the time, and British law at the moment says you have to tell them. But we're in the EU, and European law says you have the right to remain silent.
So really, we face a simple choice. We either join the EU, in which case we lose the Queen's head from the money, or we stay where we are and lose all our money.
Alistair Darling, I'm sure you've read in the papers that he has announced that, yes, there are too many speed cameras in Britain. And what's more, the Department for Transport has said that if we write in complaining about an inappropriately sighted speed camera, they'll do something about it. So, to save you the trouble, we've had a special map made showing where all the inappropriate speed cameras are. So I think you got them all there. I think you got the lot.
I've got a great letter here that was in one of the newspapers last weekend, and it's from a retired police officer, and he's spent 30 years basically working out what causes car crashes, and he says it's got nothing to do with slight infringements of the speed limit. Causes he'd most readily identify are careless right turn, aggressive high-speed driving, the born-again biker, you two, poor vehicle maintenance, drink driving, and the very elderly. And you read that and you think, that's the truth.
Somebody talking
It's
sense.
not people doing 34. My mother has a speeding conviction. She honestly considered suicide. I mean, when she's 120/12, she's got a speeding conviction for doing 32 miles an hour.
But now, though, the news, and we're starting with speed cameras. You see, the government denies that they're there to make money. So, Alistair Darling, who is the Secretary of State for Transport, has come up with a wizard new wheeze, which is basically, instead of getting 3 points, which is what you get now, if you just stray over the limit, from now on we're going to get 2 points.
Well, that sounds fair enough. Well, that sounds fair.
No, because you know what he said? He says you get 2 points if you're going from 30 to 35 miles an hour in a 30. If you're going 36, 4 points.
Well, that's more points.
It's more points.
Right.
More points.
Well, hang on. Under the old system, the old 3-point system, if you did 4 offences, you got 4 fines and you got banned.
Exactly, and you lost your wife, your home, your job, your children.
And you
lost
starved
everything.
on the street. Under the 2-point system, you get 6 offences and 6 fines, and then you're banned. So they make more money out of you before they ban you.
It's a cop.
Is that right? It is a cop.
That's true, because you'll get 2 points, therefore it's 60 quid.
Yeah.
They make more money.
You kind of got to admire them. I mean, it's crafty.
It is. Have we got a picture of Alistair Darling? I think you need to see the brains behind. Look at him!
He's got clip-on hair.
It is either clip-on hair or clip-on eyebrows.
It's actually a clip-on eyebrow. I tell you what, have you ever been in your local supermarket and they always have Employee of the Month? It's him.
That man is in charge of all of Britain's transport.
And look, nothing in. Completely empty.